Yo, you know what it is. It's the motherfucking Swanglin Show. Joshua P. Dunn. Today the P is for platypus because we got bills. Joined today by the co-host with the most, the fickle freckle boy living in the sea, the motherfucking homecoming king, the furniture Führer, Kyle Newkleus, Holsinger. What's happening, bro?
What's going on, everyone?
How's your Sunday going, my friend?
Excellent so far. The weather's cooperating. I went out and shot some hoops with my son for a little bit, and then played some Oregon Trail. So it's been a great Sunday.
Okay, you're gonna fuck around, throw your back out. You're gonna fucking lose little Timmy to malaria. You're gonna get robbed for your fucking oxen and your wagon wheel, and you're gonna, like you had mentioned previously, maybe you'll this time, maybe your fucking ass will get stranded in the middle of the country trying to trade off for an oxen, and maybe it'll be y'all won't make it today all the way across the country to the Oregon Trail.
Yeah, man, it's I liked it. I was playing with my son because it's super realistic. That's the real experience. Like the whole family didn't make it across, dude. Like you left Sarah in fucking Wyoming.
Yep, man. It's like Joe Dirt, man. In a way.
Just left him in the canyon.
Hell yeah. So it's the Swangler, episode 23. Hard to believe we're already at episode 23. We did the relaunch. We started at what, number 15, number 16? And we've just been going hard for the last 6-7 weeks straight, bringing you this fire-ass Swanglin material. And we're going to keep on bringing that. Today is going to be a little bit different of an episode, as you can tell. Right now, it's me and Kyle just in here chopping it up, chopping game. We may or may not be joined today by members of the illustrious conspiracy family. Hopefully, somebody does show up so they can gain ground on the Swanglin Heavyweight Championship vice grip.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, we're always in need of the homies and on the Swanglin Show. So it's always a good look when they come through. Maybe we'll be joined by some other people today. Maybe we won't. It's all good. But we got a kind of a slowed down version today. We're not going to talk about a ton of different stuff, but we are going to talk about one thing and start a cluster out of one thing that is very fucking important. And in the Midwest and all over the country right now, it's starting to get super fucking cold outside. We're dealing with snow and rain and ice, and the winter season is upon us. Kyle, how do you feel about the weather changing, man? It's getting cold out here.
I mean, there's a time for everything. We need the winter, but also it is nice that it hasn't been too harsh. It's been really, really cold like this week, but and I expected to get colder. We need it, but it's not fun having to work in it if you have to work outside.
Yes, and I know that you do. I do as well, and that's a shitty thing that we'll be dealing with here over the next couple of months. But there's something with the cold in direct relation to cold that like a lot of us deal with, and a lot of men deal with, and people don't really give it enough light on the topic, man. And this is seasonal depression, or what is known as seasonal affective disorder, SAD. It affects, they say between 4 and 6% of Americans, but I believe that this number is pretty fucking low. They say like people, another 10 or 20% of people will in their life, experience some form of seasonal affective disorder. Have you ever felt like when the weather gets colder, or like when the seasons are starting to change, that it affects your mood?
Yes and no. Like, not really. But yeah, gloomy day is not good for the psyche. But I know people that are seasonally depressed and have in my family, and so I have seen it directly. Like, it is a real thing. Also, like with the pandemic, I think it's exacerbated it a little bit, where people have cabin fever as well, and you're not getting out and seeing as many people. And we may have lost a loved one during the pandemic and stuff. So when it gets to the holidays, when it gets colder in the winter and stuff, it is a depressing time. I think there is stressors that can cause seasonal depression, along with just, I guess, the weather.
Well, it's a mood disorder in general that's like related directly to reduction of light believe it or not. And this is why it's like originally believed to be a wintertime disorder because of the decreasing amount of light that your body gets. They say that when it rains for weeks on end, or people that live in dark places, that get very little sunlight during the wintertime are more vulnerable to seasonal affective disorder. I myself know personally that sometimes, man, the weather really does affect my mood and make me feel like, in instances, even when, say, if it's a beautiful day, I want to be more productive, or I might want to be outside, or I might be happier to want to go do the things I have to do because the weather's great. Or if, if the weather's shitty, like you said, maybe I want to stay in the fucking house, or maybe I don't want to, I don't have that spark or that motivation because it's gloomy outside, right? Here's some interesting facts that I've discovered from northpointseattle.com on seasonal depression. Check this out, Kyle. It says that seasonal depression doesn't exist without major forms of depression, and that the seasonal affective disorder is a subtype. So it's like almost like a niche market depression. It does come and go, and like it's based upon the amount of light that you get, right? So some of the symptoms that you could include into seasonal affective disorder would be feeling depressed with no motivation or energy, hopelessness, loss of interest in activities that you like, struggling to sleep or sleeping too much, your appetite change, easily irritable, hard to concentrate, or even as far as having thoughts about death or suicide. And they have a quiz listed on here that people can take, if they're feeling suicidal or anything like that. Now, there's different symptoms and behaviors that trigger this type of depression, whether it's winter or summertime. So like, say in your winter pattern, if you have low energy, or, the sleep schedule variance, or you're overeating, or you're gaining weight, you know what I'm saying? Or like, you're withdrawing from people socially, they say that could be a direct relation of the wintertime depression.
Yeah, I think something you touched upon as it being like a subset of depression. Also, like, I think that people that are generally depressed more, and maybe already have been diagnosed with depression, I think that they are more likely to have a seasonal depression during that time of year, and it hits them harder.
I agree, and I've witnessed it within some people that I know that seem to be affected very heavily by the wintertime subset of the seasonal depression. Now, some symptoms of the summer seasonal affective disorder would be violence, losing weight as opposed to gaining it, having a poor appetite, also struggling in the sleep time, being restless, having feelings of anxiety, which, I feel like a lot of the stuff that they say is like summer seasonal affective disorder or whatever, like hot. I don't know if I've ever encountered somebody that's salty because the weather's nice. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm sure that it does exist if they're, making this list and talking about it, but I don't know anybody that was suffer from that. It's unfortunate that today we're not joined by the Swanglin heavyweight champion down there in South Florida. He gets plenty of sunlight for all of us. Maybe he'd tell us about maybe his warm weather blues, if you will.
Yeah, we could ask him about that next time we see him. I mean, I think it'd be more of like the people that have, if you live in warm weather, then like where you don't have winter like that season, your seasonal depression would have to be at some point, maybe just seeing the same hot ass weather every single day would wear on you.
Well, okay, now when you put it in that perspective, I guess I could see how that could be draining, or especially like somebody like the Swanglin heavyweight champion who is outdoors a lot, works outdoors, maybe that heat could beat you down and make you be like, God damn it, I wish I was in Wisconsin or whatever, but I'm not buying it. If you're listening to the Swanglin Show and you've suffered from some warm weather depression, please let us know so we can gladly switch spots with you and let you come out here to beautiful Ohio, Northwest Ohio on the 9th of January, like it is right now. And it's fucking 10 degrees outside or some shit. So if you hear me maybe, you know, start popping off during this episode, maybe I suffer from seasonal affective disorder during this episode. We're going to find out. So let's see who could be a candidate for somebody that would be affected by this, right? According to their research, they say that the most affected people with seasonal depression are women, and that women are 4 times more likely to develop seasonal affective disorder than men, and that they make up between 60 and 90% of the people who suffer from the winter blues. Now, according to this statistic, you know, some people like to say women have cold blood, man, and they're cold-hearted. This right here is the statistic that in women's defense proves that not to be true. Now, the serotonin levels are different between men and women, so that's probably part of the reason why they're more apt to experience a seasonal affective disorder, you know, during, you know, PMS or like menopause or something like that. I would imagine, you know, a lot of those characteristics that they described as direct effects of seasonal depression could also be directly related to other things that women deal with regularly.
Yeah, when it rains, it pours.
Exactly. Now, okay, so if seasonal depression is a real thing, right? They say this is a real thing, even though the percentages of people that deal with this is super low. They're saying 4 to 6%, or on average 10 to 20% of people over the course of their lifetime will experience seasonal depression, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that this is something that over time is going to grow?
Well, climate change, you know, if the climate changes in a way that I could see that, because we're getting hit harder by weather. Hurricane season's going to be different. Tornado season's going to be different. I mean, places that didn't, like the Tornado Alley was in Kansas and Oklahoma. It's looking to be down in Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky now. Like, that'll completely change their seasonal depression. I think that there's a hope that we can also get more knowledge of seasonal depression, maybe be able to, I don't want to say come up with medications, but come up with therapies for it, things to do, you know, even if it's just drinking some orange juice, you know, vitamin C to get that, you know, maybe they'll come up with better tactics to cope with it. Maybe it'll get worse because we'll get hit with a super blizzard. Right. You know, winter's coming.
So what if this, how crazy would this shit be if this is how this shakes out? They finally admit that global warming is real, but they say that it's done intentionally as a cause to cure seasonal depression. Would that blow your mind or what?
Yeah, I'd be like, whoa, I mean, shit, dude. I'd be like, I don't know, shaking up the snow globe just to see some snow. I mean, okay, cool.
Well, instead of shaking up that snow globe in the, you know, the sense of grabbing that toy and shaking it up, you know, they say that the big way that people treat seasonal depression is with antidepressants, and that's shaking up some snow in a different type of way, depending on how you're using it. There's some different prescription medications that can help with like adjusting your serotonin levels in your brain. So they use antidepressants and medications that raise those levels, like Paxil and Prozac and fucking Zoloft and shit. Like the same things that they use to treat mood disorders, they will use to treat depression disorders. And they say that stress also is a major benefiting factor to seasonal affective disorder. But it leads me to this question, right? So it's like, they say that women are more susceptible to struggle with seasonal affective disorder or seasonal depression, right? And I feel like as a man, a lot of men don't even really like acknowledge their mental health patterns at all, let alone to even know that it could potentially be caused by, you know, a shift in the weather or, you know, a lack of sunlight or anything like that. I feel like a lot of dudes, when they come into obscure thoughts or feeling low, they just bottle it in and they don't talk about it at all. I know that's, and in a lot of scenarios for me, that's like a go-to mechanism where I just like, boom, this is like, it never even fucking happened. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So it's cool for me to be able to go in and read these facts and discover these articles and cover this content for the show, because I'm sure there's plenty of people that listening to the Swanglin Show are dealing with issues with personal depression disorders and mood disorders. It's very commonplace in today's world that people are starting to become more aware of their mental health, and that's something that I feel like we should be promoting and being positive about on the Swanglin Show.
Yeah, first off, what's up, CJ? Thanks for coming into the show.
What up, man?
Not much. We're talking about seasonal depression.
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine. Now on Swanglin episode 23, we're joined by, you know what I'm going to say, you little son of a bitches. It's the king of the
Okay,
wing.
bet.
CJ Dinero is in the building on Swanglin 23, and we're talking about seasonal affective disorder, and we're talking about seasonal depression. So before you jumped on the call, CJ, we were talking about how I broke down some facts about seasonal depression, and I brought up the
y'all sound y'all low as fuck. Hold on, I'm gonna try and figure it out.
You're good.
Can you hear us better now?
There we go.
Okay, that's great. Right. Now, joined by the king of the wing, CJ Dinero on Swanglin 23. Before you jumped in the call, we were talking about, I dropped some facts on some stuff I found about seasonal affective disorder or seasonal depression that said that, it's pretty much caused by a lack of sunlight, and it's like a subset mood disorder that affects a lot of people. Not a huge percentage of people, but it is something that affects a lot of people. Now, before you had jumped on the call, I had mentioned about how it's like commonplace for men in general to not even acknowledge what their patterns are of their moods or their mental health in general. So we want to talk about and promote openness about your mental health as a person if you're feeling a certain type of way. Now, have you ever been in a scenario, CJ Dinero, where the weather has affected your mood?
Probably when I was working in the factory and shit. And it wasn't really necessarily, well, it kind of was the weather, because that's when it get dark earlier and shit. So around about wintertime, just going in when it's dark and then leaving when it's dark. Like, you don't want to do shit.
Yeah.
You don't want to do nothing. Like, you just want to go home and that's it. You don't want to do nothing else. Like, I didn't get a lot of shit accomplished during those times. Because it was like, damn, I went in, it was dark. I'm coming home, it's dark. Like, what's the point?
Yep.
So, yeah. I'd have been through that shit before. I think a lot of people have been through that, like working that shift. It sucks during that time of the year.
Yeah, it definitely does. Now, being in the Midwest like we are, I feel like we have to be at a higher rate of being susceptible to catching some seasonal affective disorder, being that our seasons are so drastically changed. Like, you guys was just witnessed this shit. Just a couple of weeks ago, it's fucking 60. And now all of a sudden it's like 10 degrees. And, if, like Kyle had mentioned earlier, if you're somebody that's got to work outdoors like we do, man, this shit is no fucking hoe. Out here in Ohio, exactly. you could really fall victim to some goddamn seasonal depression out here in Ohio, especially if, like CJ mentioned, you're working in manufacturing, you're working in the construction trades, you're working in doing one of these things where you got to bear and beat the elements, man. You got to make sure that if you are one of these people that are in these positions, you need to be aware of the existence of seasonal affective disorder and seasonal depression, and some of the things that you can do to curb that. Like, try one of the easiest ways to encounter or like counter break down this seasonal depression is by exposing yourself to more sunlight, according to studies. So if you're listening to the Swanglin Show and this cold weather done hit you in the dick, man, and you're feeling rough and you don't want to get out of bed, and you're like the old medicine man native, you can feel it in your bones that it's about to start snowing and shit, and you don't want to move, here's the deal. Go get in some fucking light. When it's light outside, make sure that you're outside. You could use a light box if you wanted, or you could, put a little money back throughout the year, maybe a little, throw 50 a month into an account until you got enough paper to, when that weather breaks, say, fuck it, and get out of here and go visit the Swanglin Heavyweight Championship Vice Grip down there in South Florida and have them take you for some of that goddamn barbacoa and black beans and that whole fucking Caribbean culture deal down there in fucking South Florida. Now, Kyle, if you were struggling with some seasonal depression or some type of depression, what would be like your initial reaction to feeling that way?
Acknowledgement. Hopefully acknowledgement. Hey man, I'm a little down right now. I'm a little depressed. And
all right, bro.
You can't deal with something if you don't acknowledge it. So I'd say just the acknowledgement of it. And then from there, what do I do about it? I'm obviously feeling depressed, or the weather's got me down, especially if it rains a bunch, man. Because people talk about the coldness, but don't underestimate just a bunch of rainy days and having to walk to and from your car and this and that being fucking soaked. Because that'll really put you in a bad mood. No one wants to be soaked. So I just acknowledgement of the fact that I am a little I'm depressed right now. That's the first key is acknowledgement.
Yeah, most definitely.
I think that a lot of forms like subsets of depression, including seasonal depression, is something like Kyle mentioned is usually really self-diagnosable. It's something that you can feel. It's something that you can know that this is happening. Man, okay, the weather's fucked up now. All of a sudden I feel like shit. I don't want to do nothing. Clearly, you may be suffering from this type of deal. So go get you some sunlight, and maybe if it's something that doesn't make you feel better, maybe, you consult a psychiatrist or a mental health facility, maybe get in there, get you some antidepressants, maybe, or, something that you can do, or maybe go to the gym or, do some things to help boost your mentality and get yourself back up and on the go, because you don't want to be out here and be some people struggle with their mental health and depression as it is. You don't want to be the definitive blow to your fucking life to be whether or not it's raining or snowing. So you gotta have the mental toughness to be able to recognize when that type of shit is happening and being like, okay, I got to put an end to this shit right now. Now, Swanglin 23, as always, I'm joined by Kyle Newkleus Holsinger, the fucking homecoming king. I got the king of the wing in the building. As you guys can see, this dude is busting plates on the go on the Swanglin Show.
Yeah. Make some moves, man.
If you're watching the Swanglin Show, if we were live right now, dude, maybe people would be like, your whole phone would explode right now. People would be like, holy shit, he's dropping the wings off right now. I went through, I'm just going to keep it 100 right now. We're going to go, and you want to know what is the opposite of seasonal depression? When you pick up their fucking phone and you order Nunu's chicken, Ashy fucking Larry wings, and goddamn loaded fries, because I have an experience that I have to just map out here for you guys. I gotta tell this fucking story, man. So it was last week or earlier in the week, man, and I seen my man CJ Dinero posting these fire ass chicken wings, man, and he was like, it's Wing Wednesday, man. And I'm like, you want to know what? That's got a fucking great ring to it. The dub for the dub is 2022. He's dropping the Wing Wednesday. I just felt the energy was correct. The aura was right. And I looked over at my girl, man, and I'm like, man, he's dropping them wings today. And she's like, you want to know what? We need to go get them today. And I'm like, you want to know what, man? We really fucking do. So we jumped in the car. I hit up CJ, man. We drove over there. It took us 35 minute drive to go get these chicken wings, y'all. And it was the best decision I made in weeks. It's the only way you start off your fucking 2022 is by ordering some goddamn hot honey lemon pepper chicken wings from Nunu's Kitchen, Findlay, Ohio, the king of the wing. You can either pull up and pick it up, or he's gonna wait until the Swanglin Show is recording, and then he's gonna pull up on you, bitch, and he might make you famous, and you're not gonna be hungry no more. What do you think about that shit?
There you go. Hey, that's how you got to do it, man. Got to keep the hustle going, like we talked about in the entrepreneur episode. That's what it is, man.
Yep.
I'm very proud of that. To know that the Swanglin Show is here, captivating and getting this back end footage for a potential documentary of how, 10 years from now, when CJ he'll be so fucking rich that he won't even consider touching the chicken wing. He's gonna go back and listen to this shit and look at it and be like, can you guys believe I used to drop my own plates off?
Exactly.
So we hope one day to get to that point on the Swanglin Show. If you're listening, you better order them. You better order those goddamn chicken wings, you little son of a bitch, and get them together, or else you might suffer or fall victim to seasonal affective disorder if you don't get them fucking chicken wings. Let's give a round of applause for the king of the wings.
Damn it. There we go. Yeah, I like that.
Now, CJ, we always appreciate you joining us on the Swanglin Show, and we're talking about men's mental health issues. We're talking about managing stress. We're talking about financial importance. We're talking about all these different concepts on the Swanglin Show that people think that we don't know nothing about, man. These motherfuckers out here that don't really know us, man. They think that we're just these dudes, man, that just make music, and we might just be younger, like arrogant dudes or something. You get painted and boxed in these boxes, and people judge us based upon our involvement in hip hop. You know what I mean? We get judged and boxed in and labeled. So one of the reasons why I love doing this fucking show is because we can break those stereotypes and labels of what people think of us, and they may capsize us and diminish us a little bit, and not realize and fully understand the type of game that we can bring to the table, especially about behavioral issues and financial issues and chopping it up about subjects that some people would deem to be sensitive. Now, CJ Dinero, King of the Wing, I got to ask you this question. Have you yourself ever had any bouts or dealing with any type of depression?
I want to say, just recently, not too long ago. I just went through my first knee surgery and shit. And this when I was working for Spectrum. And I went through my first knee surgery. I didn't know if I was gonna be able to walk right again. I didn't know if I was gonna be able to continue doing my job. Shit was just fucked up for me mentally at that time, because I didn't know what was gonna happen. I'm usually somebody that has a plan for everything, but I didn't really have a plan that time of what was gonna happen. And then I was in a relationship that wasn't the greatest, and I ended up losing that job. I just came back. I wasn't even there a whole week back off my knee surgery, and I ended up getting fired. And fucking spiraled out of control. Mentally, I didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen, because I didn't know what job I was gonna get. Because I'm somebody, I don't like to bounce around from job to job like that. I like to get a job and keep a job.
Yep.
Until I feel like leaving that motherfucker, not getting fired. Exactly. But I went through all that shit on top of a bad relationship, and it just wasn't good.
Yep.
That's probably the worst I felt mentally in a long time.
Now, what did it take to get you? What actions did you have to take in order to break that shell? Because of course, I mean, the first step, of course, like you said, is acknowledging the fact, like, hey, something's not right here. I'm not thinking right. Yeah. I'm not feeling right. What are some steps that you had to take? Of course, rehabbing and healing your knee is probably the crucial element there. Yeah. But going forward from that, what were some things that you had to do to like pick yourself up and get yourself back going?
Well, shit, I ended up getting a job that I stayed at for 2 years, and that was cool, and that helped. And then just finally getting out that relationship was the key. And then I felt better once I got out of that situation, and I knew my knee was gonna be back to normal again. I was back making money. I think I started making music again too. And so just going back to doing shit that I love to do really helped. And that really helped me a lot.
I feel like there's really something to be learned from that too, because even in these, I'm reading over these professional documents and stuff about seasonal depression and depression disorders, mood disorders and stuff. And one of the major things that happens during these periods when people feel upset is they shun themselves away from doing the things that they love to do. They lose interest in those things. So if you're listening to the Swanglin Show, man, and you're feeling down today, man, it's not the end of the world. You know, you're going to have your good days, you're going to have your bad days, but you can listen to things like what Dinero just dropped and know that a lot of the problem is the way that you're thinking about the problem. Pick yourself up, shake yourself back off. If you love watching movies, man, watch a movie. If you love making music, make music. If you love selling plates, if you love hustling, like the King of the Wing right now, live on the Swanglin Show. If you're watching the video version of episode 23 of the Swangler, you'll see that my man right down here below, the King of the Wing, Nunu's Kitchen, CJ Dinero's busting plays live on the Swanglin Show. And it's a beautiful thing to see. Right. That's the type of thing that makes me just anti-depressed. You know, I don't need a Zoloft. I'm seeing my dude right now just selling some plates out of his car. That's like Zoloft for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I need a antidepressant when I can watch CJ Dinero bust moves live on Zoom?
Yeah, man, I just tell people, man, when they going through that shit, man, like you said, just get back to yourself, man, because that's what I had to do.
Now, I've been through some issues myself where I felt low or felt like my mental health wasn't up to par. And that's one of the main things that helped me was having to check myself. Like, no, man, I got to pick myself back up because, there's people that depend on me. I have to depend on myself.
Right.
I still got goals I'm in the middle of doing. I can't give up. I got too much to fucking lose. And I pick myself back up. And a major thing that helps me is diving into books, man. I'll just start reading. I'll pick something up and I'll just distract my mind. And usually a main thing that helped me during kind of a lower point for me was the discovery of Eastern philosophy, starting to read a lot of stuff about Zen Buddhism and reading stuff about even stuff as far left as Bushido and samurai culture and disciplinary martial arts and things like that kind of intrigued my mind and kind of changed the way that I looked at certain things conceptually. Now, the co-host of the Swanglin Show, Kyle Newkleus Holsinger, is in the building. He's rocking that state championship Cary, Ohio hoodie. It's hard as fuck right now, representing his team that just put it down. In your city right now, there's probably not a whole lot of fucking seasonal depression based on that goddamn championship that y'all just brought home. Now, can you tell me a time, Kyle, about how maybe something that you did or a scenario that you were in where you felt low and it was really on you to pick yourself back up and push forward?
When my family fell apart, what's interesting is CJ was talking about like the relationship and the bad job. I kind of had that same thing going on where the job wasn't working. And it was like, I was good at the job. There was just a lot of stress with like people at the job. And I'd come home to stress and then I'd have stress at work. I just couldn't get away from it. So like, once I changed, I basically, like once the family split apart, I had to start from rock bottom. And like, I looked at ways to organize my life, because I had all this stuff boxed up and how to reorganize it. And then looked up different aspects of life, kind of wrote out the various things, like you got your spiritual, your community, financial, health and well-being, career, finance, and like wrote out like a plan for each of these of like ways I was going to tackle these. And we had talked about before about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yes.
Which is like something I recommend everyone to look at for them. And not only that as a person, but as a parent, because it's like the building blocks to what they call self-actualization, which I would be like a spiritual kind of thing is, just at your highest you can attain. And so the bottomest part is like food, clothing, and shelter. And the next level is like security, emotional security, everything staying stable, financial security. And then from there, you can build to where you can think beyond that. But if you have to constantly think about your next meal, you don't have time to get self-actualized. So I took that philosophy and the pyramid that Maslow has, and then I looked at the aspects of life and just tried to rebuild it in a way where I could raise my kids in the direction I wanted to get them to as I was starting with like nothing.
Well, I think that's a very awesome thing, that Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you're listening to the Swanglin Show, check that out. It's very great conceptually. How it starts with the most minimal and the most basic, all the way up to the most complex. And we've said this on the Swanglin Show before, I believe on the last episode, as a matter of fact, about working on the small things, because it always leads to the big things. And that's something that is definitely reflected within Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And one thing that you guys both had in common when you started talking about your own personal experiences is a bullshit relationship, a bullshit job, just stressful scenarios like that. So if you're in a job that you don't really care for, you know, it's not the only check available. You got to you got to focus in and find that other work. If you're in that shitty relationship, you got to really study your own worth and really set your heavy foot forward as far as what you're willing to tolerate, what you can deal with, who you're building with, and whether or not it's worth doing those things. Because if it's not, you need to hit the reset button, because just eliminating a stressful scenario is just as good as creating a non-stressful scenario.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing about my job is, shit, I love my job. Shit, that was the thing about it. I lost my shit on some bullshit.
Yeah. How you gonna get fired on your day off, CJ?
Man, then I got fired because of driving tickets, getting speeding tickets in my own whip.
You was stealing boxes. How you gonna get fired on your own day off?
Stealing cable boxes and selling them to people.
Yeah. Now,
but
with the emergence of
eliminate that bullshit. Eliminate the bullshit from your life.
We have to eliminate the bullshit from our life. I feel like mental health in general, as we go on and get farther into, you know, year by year of existence, man, people are becoming more conscious. They're becoming more aware of their own shortcomings and becoming aware of and discerning different things as traumatic that in the past people would just brush the fuck off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we all deal with things that stem from our childhoods and deal with, you know, our experiences in the day-to-day world out here that may cause us to have anxiety or depression or any of these different mood disorders, or in some instances, actual psychological disorders for people. Motherfuckers go crazy out here by not having the skills to assess and manage and break down stressful situations. And a lot of people also deal with lack of support, lack of feeling like they have the resources. So if you're listening to the Swanglin Show, man, and you're feeling a certain kind of way, trust me when I tell you it's worth it to go to that medical professional. Nobody's going to judge you. I've been in a therapy room before, even as low as doing like family counseling and stuff as I was a kid, you know what I mean? Coming up in like broken house, and you see like, I was always in trouble and shit too. So I was doing behavioral therapy shit and like fucking doing all this different shit. There is no shame in this shit. Nobody's gonna better your scenario for you. If you need to find out more about your mental health, you gotta go see a professional. You don't have to get on drugs. You don't gotta feel a certain type of way about it. The effort is worth that in its own right. You guys agree with me?
Oh yeah, most definitely. And especially, you know, in the Black community, like that shit is looked down upon for real. Like mental health, you just looked at as, oh, he crazy, and that's it. And nobody ever thinks about what causes that person to be that way. What was the scenario that made them feel that way? And growing up, you know, in my community and shit, you don't talk about mental health. It's just something that you don't think about. But now, you know, thanks to social media and shit, and people are seeing, they're able to relate to one another. More people are more open to talk about their problems and issues and get to the bottom of these things, and finding out that they grew up in a toxic household, that things wasn't good as they seemed, you know. So especially, you know, just being a Black man, we always, and I'm not just Black men in general, but just men period, we're always looked at, oh, we just got to suck it up and deal with it. You know, you'll be all right. We don't take care of ourselves or go get the proper help, but nobody really gives a shit about the stuff that we go through.
Yeah, and a lot of the times it does feel that way, but I don't feel like you should dismiss or disregard mentioning as a Black man, because I think that there are at this point statistics that coincide with what you're saying, that people in the African American community are less apt to
Yeah.
seek out their mental health issues. And
Mhm.
a lot of that stuff is starting to change. And I think through dialogue, we're going to help make that change. I just discovered a quote from the philosopher Atticus, right? I'm going to drop this on you guys. What do you guys think about this? It says, depression is being colorblind and constantly told how colorful the world is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, do you
That
guys
makes a lot of sense.
do you guys think that people, especially men that struggle with depression, do you think that a lot of cats are like, they feel depressed because they feel as if they have nobody to reach out to, nobody to talk to?
Yeah. When you going through a struggle and you feel like you on your own, that shit just makes the struggle that much bigger. But you feel that much smaller. You just keep going down.
Yeah.
But you don't have nobody to turn to. You just feel like you're on your own. And that feeling sucks. It really does.
Yep. Yeah,
That
for sure.
Been
there. Yep. I agree. It reminds me of like, there's a country music singer, Keith Whitley, that died. Actually, he had the #1 single in the country when he died. And
R.I.P. Keith.
Yeah, and he was like a rising star in like the late '80s. He drank himself to death. But anyway, so he was very depressed, and he didn't realize how many people he had in his corner and stuff. He had a kind of a rocky marriage, and he was an alcoholic and stuff, and it went down the way it did. But depression. Look, he's at the top of the world. And still didn't feel like he had a friend in his corner. And the outpouring afterwards of like people that came and like actually did genuinely like him and had, talk to me if you ever need anything. And I just think he always took it as, oh yeah, whatever. But it reminds me of that of Keith Whitley, because you can, even though you're on the top of the world, you have everything you could ask for. The certain things ain't right. It ain't, you know what I mean. It could, it ain't there for you. So, I could understand even if you have no money and you're not on top of the world, it would be even worse.
Yeah.
Right? It could definitely be a lot worse. And in our area of the country, over the last several years, we've seen people really fucking succumb and fall to misuse of the prescription drugs, and the fucking people really doing pills and some extra shit to the next level. I mean, we've even lost people within the family due to drug abuse and substance abuse. So I just came across, there's a phone number from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration from the United States Department of Health and Human Services. People call it SAMHSA. They have a national helpline that's free, confidential, 24/7, 365 in both English and Spanish for people, and they have like an online treatment locator. So if you're listening to the Swanglin Show and you feel like maybe you got nobody to reach out to, maybe that there is no help available for you, we're here to tell you that yes, they are. And you can pick up your phone right now, call 1-800-662-HELP, 1-800-662-HELP, and reach out to SAMHSA's national helpline. They might pipe you in to some type of treatment or give you the tips, or maybe even just be that listening ear that you need to help pick you up if you're dealing with seasonal depression or you're dealing with any different type of mental health issue whatsoever. There are resources available. Now, I think it's an awesome look that on the Swanglin 23, we're in here chopping it up about seasonal depression, men's mental health issues. It's Joshua P. Dunn, Kyle Newkleus, whole singer. We got the King of the Wing, CJ Dinero in the house. So we're going to get the show wrapped up here. We're going to go around the room here, and we're going to give the listeners of the Swanglin Show one tip of what they can do to improve their mood daily. And I'm going to start it out. What you need to do is you need to drink more fucking water, man. Crucial element. Drink more fucking water. My man, CJ Dinero, what do you got for the people?
Man, I would just say, just wake up and whether you wake up, you say a prayer. Like you said, I wake up now, me and my girl, we wake up every morning, we drink a bottle of water. Start our day off with a bottle of water, and just set some goals for yourself. Like me and her, we made vision boards last week to start off the new year. Nice. Set some goals for yourself, man, and try to just at least, if you don't knock one down a day, at least work on knocking one down a day. No matter what the goals is, every day work on bettering yourself and just knocking down some goals, man, achieving some things. And another thing is, You don't got to tell everybody about it. Keep it to yourself. Everybody don't need to know. You don't need nobody in on it. Just keep it to yourself. Work on that. And then when it's all said and done, you accomplish something.
That's a great point. Now we're gonna slide that same question over to the homecoming king, Kyle. What's your tip for the people, my man?
Try to get a little bit of exercise in every day. If you got seasonal depression, just try to, even if it's in your house because of the weather, if it's, push-ups, sit-ups, if you got some weights, curls, whatever, anything to get the blood going and get the heart pumping a little bit, get some cardio. I would say for sure.
So if you're listening to the Swanglin Show, we just hooked you up with that, with a non-food breakfast here. You know what I'm saying? You get your fucking soggy ass up out of bed in the morning. You get you that cold bottle of fucking water or room temperature if you're sensitive teeth, or, that's a whole debate in its own right, cold versus room temperature. We're not going to go there on the Swanglin Show. But you get you a fucking glass of water, a bottle of water. You fucking visualize and attack your fucking goals. And you go fucking work out, feel good about yourself physically. These things are going to help project you and put you in a motherfucking position to be happier, to be more successful. And maybe you'll shake off your depression, your seasonal depression, your maybe if you got some type of mood disorder and maybe, you just cuss everybody out. Maybe you're just naturally a fucking asshole, Maybe that bottle of water will be what it takes for you to do something nice for somebody today. You never know, you little son of a bitch. It's Joshua P. Dunn. It's the Swanglin Show, episode 23. I want to say thank you to my co-host, the Newkleus, Kyle Newkleus Holsinger, the fickle freckle boy living in the sea, the man who wished he just won a fucking state championship because it probably feels like $1 million. Joining me as always. And for my guy, Avondale, representing Cincinnati, Ohio, the king of the wing. If you are listening to the Swangler, man, you better take your fucking punk ass over to Nunu's kitchen and get you some
exactly
you livened up to shake off that ring rust and that seasonal depression you got. Because who could be upset when they're eating a hot honey lemon pepper chicken wing?
Yeah, with the Ashy Larry. Come get the Ashy Larry put on there.
Now, it's been the Swanglin Show, episode 23. The one and only fucking squad cast. That's a new fucking term that's been coined by the Swanglin heavyweight champion Vice Grip. That this ain't a podcast, it's a fucking squad cast.
Squad cast.
I like that.
So until next time, you little son of a bitch, go fuck yourself.